I'm biracial and I'm proud. I'm biracial and I proclaim it loud. I'm biracial, no hate can keep me down. No matter what my haters say, I proudly rep both of my races today. I'm biracial and I'm proud. I'm biracial and I proclaim it loud. I'm biracial and no hate can...
Salam alaikum, YouTube, what's cracking? It's your Angry Biracial back with another video. I'm not gonna do too much jibber jabbering before we dive in, but this is part 2 of me reacting to the hit TV show Black White. This is a show where they take two families, one black, one white, and they put them in makeup to look like the opposite race, and they follow them as they experience life being the opposite race.
What have you learned so far?
I learned a lot.
Like what?
I learned that, as a black man, I buy my shoes. They just hand me the shoe and say, here, try it on. But my first day as a white guy, I go and buy some shoes. They take my foot and put it in the shoe. But I bought golf shoes out of a golf pro shop before. Didn't happen. So, I'm not saying that it always happens, but it was just my first time, and I was like, wow.
At the car dealership, as a black man, what I experienced is I'm getting the reaction from people that I usually get as white Bruno. And that's telling me a lot.
From what I hear from you, I don't feel that you're getting the experiences that I go through on a daily. Bruno's been white all his life until these last few days. So he doesn't know what to look for or what to expect. If you're not used to it in your daily life, then you're not going to look for anything
absolutely.
new just because you have on black makeup. I just think the little things that you never think about is always on our mind as black men.
What I totally believe is it's the individual, regardless of whether he's white or black. I'm going to come as Bruno as a black man, okay? And I'm going to show everybody courtesy. I'm going to deal with life the way Bruno does, and I'm going to appear black. My theory is it starts with, personal responsibility. You get out of life what you put into it. I come from a place of not expecting to be assaulted by racism. And maybe that's a huge difference. They're so aware of the fact that they are black and that they are separate and they are different. Well, you said, you guys are going to get a lot more out of this than I am because, you're going to be black and I'm going to be white.
Right.
Okay, well, you said it was going to happen. So far, I'm kind of waiting for somebody to go, hey.
I had to cut that part off for a reason. And even though this is a show that goes into race a lot, YouTube is very sensitive and very picky. And so showing a white man using a hard ER on the N-word will ding my channel a bit. But essentially, he said he's waiting for some white guy to come up to him while he's in blackface and say, hey, N-word. And the black family said, nah, it's not how it's gonna happen. As I've been saying the whole time, Bruno has some old school pre-civil rights colored water fountain type of mindset where white people just walked around and used that word like it was nothing. He doesn't understand that in more modern times, racism is still there, but it's a little bit more subtle. But he did make a valid point that I wanted to point out, and I may catch some hell for this. But he did point out that the black family was keenly aware that they were black, and they brought that awareness into their everyday interaction. So he was taking the Morgan Freeman route. Stop talking about racism and it'll go away. And in the case of that family, stop thinking about it and expecting it in all your interactions. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see the world differently. I just think Brian is ridiculous. Again, maybe this is because I'm biracial and I see the world slightly differently. But so far, the only difference he's saying he's encountered so far as white Brian is how they fit him for shoes. But on to the next clip.
Everybody introduce themselves and tell me your favorite entertainer.
My name is Latoya Hicks. My favorite artist is Mary J. Blige.
My name is Cherie Busby, and my favorite entertainer is Prince.
Okay, blessed. I'm an avid Michael Jackson fan.
My name is Jonathan. My favorite performer is Dave Chappelle.
My name is Rose, and my favorite entertainer, I kind of love the Cranberries. So,
The Cranberries.
love the Cranberries.
Diverse.
Yeah, exactly, definitely.
You only have one opportunity to make a first impression. So my first impression was like, I love the Cranberries.
What was that?
Whenever we do our poems, we have to stand up. Okay?
I don't know how to face this
I'm standing in the mirror faceless. My mom is at my shoulder telling me to escape this. There's so many far before me with war life stories of prison and death. I'll take a deep ass breath.
What is this that torments my existence? That removes the joy in every single instance? Am I doomed to succumb to this depression?
Who got the idea that I was ready for this? I felt like a lamb in a lion's den.
I'm always down for my black people, though sometimes they be acting so evil. Unbelievable how my patience remains. Though at times I feel an alien blood runs through these veins, and this thought sustains. The alien is me.
These people rock, and they're speaking about being black from their heart of hearts. And I'm hoping to God that this sounds black.
Okay. Thank you. Many words, my life, the so simple complexities of a human psyche. To even relish in my thoughts of romantic stride. My skin to his, my touch returned. A mutual undulation of want and reciprocal acceptability and performance. A ritual so profound, the taste of sex. The body, flush with hot and sticky fantastic. A basket of unbroken fruit, a dripping bouquet of red, ripe woman. The pulp of the soul spread lavishly over the human chemistry, when discovery and pleasure were encouraged. Thank you.
Were you nervous?
Shitless.
Yeah, I felt that you were nervous. So
yeah.
You have a lot of big words. I don't get, and you have to know your audience and know that if you're speaking to an audience of people, that not everybody's going to understand what you're talking about.
That was hard. This project is so much more unnerving and probing than you can possibly expect it to be.
So how was today for you, Rose?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you.
It was incredible. Some of the most beautiful, intense poetry I've heard in a long time. Everything was just from the heart. Racism, prejudice, black lifestyle came up a lot because they were talking about being black.
So did you get up and say anything?
I did. But here I am in front of everybody, and I'm like, I hope it at least is black enough to get through this class. Like,
you know what? If I'd have got in there for the first time, I would have done. That's courage. Rose has a good head on her shoulder, and I think Bruno can take a page from Rose's book and learn.
That is one place I do not want to get found out. Like, oh really? Oh yeah, no. The only way I feel okay being in there is if I work my ass off. They're doing something incredible there. You feel like they would really I don't feel like that would be respectful of me. I don't know how I'm feeling right now because I want to strike up friendships, and if something went wrong, like if they found out that I was white, somebody's not going to feel cool about it. I don't want to go in there again. And
a couple things about that clip bothered me a little bit. She wanted to fit in and she didn't want to stand out, yet she brought a MacBook to read her poem from. Everyone else had a pen and a pad. That there is showing privilege. And that is screaming, I'm not from this area, very, very loudly. Then when that black lady said you use a lot of big words that we don't understand, that bothered me. I'm a 12-time published author myself. I was into poetry and stuff when I was younger. And part of delving into that world is expanding your vocabulary. She was being shamed for having a higher education and thus a bigger and more diverse vocabulary that she can pull from and express herself with. The very last thing you want to do in a poetry form is belittle someone for having a bigger vocabulary than you. If you don't understand the words, then you have to up your game. Crack open a dictionary and get to work. But besides that, I feel she did well. Her initial reaction from hearing black poetry seemed like it was fear. She felt uncomfortable being in a room where she perceived black people to be angry or overly emotional. And it was anger and emotion that she couldn't understand or even fathom. Tell me your thoughts on that clip in the comments. On to the next one.
Treated differently than black people. But my generation now, we really don't see all that. We just see people. As long as you cool with us, then we cool with you.
Oh my goodness. Check it out. Oh my God. Wow, amazing.
I'm going to be white today, so I want to go and do something only white kids do.
today I'm going to etiquette class with Nick to see how well he blends in with white kids.
Nice to meet you, Claudia.
Claudia Rose, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Hi, I'm Claudia. Nice to meet you. Nick. Etiquette, actually, it's not just rules. It's the way you behave, the way you're going to be accepted.
Basically, it teaches you know how to eat at fancy restaurants and how to greet people and be polite.
I want to see you pretend to eat your soup. Pretend you're really eating. Pretend you're really
eating.
Okay. You eat from the inside to the outside. Yeah.
Jeez, I'm not supposed to.
Remember, when your mom used to feed you, it was like this?
Yes.
Okay, you guys are grown-ups now.
I actually don't think Nick is enjoying himself at all. I know that you were still acting like yourself, and you do have a real vernacular that's quite, like, I mean, at least stereotypically black.
I'm always gonna be myself.
Yeah? You're not gonna be working with how you act, as in, like, enunciating and stuff like that?
I can't act white.
You can't? Okay, so that's your opinion?
I mean, you can't. I just don't, really see no point into this racism thing. I'm not the racist person, so all that stuff doesn't really matter to me.
So what's kind of your, like, goal for this, then?
Just to pass.
Just to pass?
I'm here for the fun.
Today will be the first day that I'll work at Leo's bar. It's a little all-white bar. There's a bartender. It's cool. I'm being the fly on the wall. Get to see a day in white.
Oh, you want to establish a rapport with all these guys. If you take care of them, they're going to take care of you.
I have to speak proper grammar, or as we black community say, I have to speak white. Yes, see? Okay, I'm going to watch you. You must be a real regular, right? Then I got into some conversation with a guy. There you go. It was so easy because they thought I was so white up in there. I just asked him a simple question. What is the neighborhood like?
Yeah, it's pretty much a white area, so you won't have any problems.
Oh, okay, fit right in.
I grew up in this neighborhood, and this is one of the last somewhat unaffected bastions of middle-class Caucasian America inside Los Angeles.
Nice white community.
Most of the cities around this area have changed significantly. This is the one that's almost like it's been insulated for some reason.
Wow. I kind of got that feel when I came through this neighborhood.
The neighbors want it to stay that way.
Exactly.
They don't want a lot of change. They don't want a lot of building. They don't want a lot of immigration because they've seen what's happened in the peripheral communities. And it's taken the quality of life down.
He just went on and on. This is the last little white community. We want to keep it like this. In other words, this will be the place for you to move and bring your white family if you want to have your kids raised in a good neighborhood.
This area up here has somehow remained untouched. So
that's interesting.
So if you're looking for a safe place to raise your kids, you can't do better than this, I think.
I think if I was in there black, of course I wouldn't get that kind of information. But because he thought I was white, he had that comfort zone. He spilled his guts. I was really blown away for him to say all that to me. It was tough. I know there is some people like that, but you want to think of this as a much better place.
They actually did a decent job with his makeup. He looked like his mom and dad or brother and sister. They gave him the old Dukes of Hazzard mullet. Why did they make him look like the My Buddy doll? I actually had one of these when I was a kid. Maybe the producers got lazy and thought, let's model him off of the My Buddy doll. But all jokes aside, he needs to get more into this. Because Rose was right. You may look white, but you're acting and sounding black. That's gonna throw off the entire show. Now let's talk about him a bit. Y'all know I'm not really feeling Brian too much in this so far. One, he doesn't look like a white dude to me. And in that clip where they showed him at the bar from the side, he looked biracial or mixed. And I don't think no one really sees him as white either. He's just white enough for them to be more open to about things. I experienced this same thing in my life as a biracial man. My skin color being what it is. I'm light enough for certain people to feel more comfortable around me. Those that feel uncomfortable about being around black people feel more comfortable being around me, and they open up a lot. As I said before, a lot of us biracials are seen as the safe black. And I think that's how they're viewing Brian. He is not white passing at all. They see him as a safe minority, or maybe just white enough for them to trust and be accepted. And what that white man said could be a little upsetting to some, but he prefers living around his own people. To me, that's no different than anybody else. For instance, when my wife and I went house shopping, we went to several different neighborhoods. And if we saw a neighborhood that we liked and we drove through it and we saw a lot of flags all over their front porches and pickup trucks, to us, that was an automatic no-no. Not because we're not proud Americans, we are. But from our life experience and from our point of view as people of color, people of African descent in this country, the white folks waving the flags everywhere and driving the pickup trucks come off as a bit racist. And we didn't want to live amongst that or raise our kids amongst that. She's black, I'm biracial, and we're both Muslim. And we're most likely way off in our assumptions and our prejudice there. But it's what makes us feel comfortable to live in a diverse neighborhood that doesn't have all that going on. So from my point of view, I cannot begrudge a white man for having his own preferences of where he wants to live and who he wants to live around. Before I get in the next clip, I want to really touch on something. To me, what makes someone racist is not how you feel, it's how you act on those feelings. We all have the God-given right to feel however the hell we want to feel. But if you act upon it, then that changes the whole narrative.
The objective today is to find out whether we can roam freely and without excessive paranoia our way. I'm going to be polite and respectful as I am to everybody, and I expect that they will be the same to me. I can't imagine somebody actually being rude to me or saying rude things. I don't anticipate that at all.
I hope you do get the experience of seeing that they're watching you a little bit different. You get a little slower service. They don't give a shit whether you buy this or that, or you do get some looks. You could be the most pleasant person in the world, and it still could happen. Every time that Bruno debates that racism exists, it really pisses me off.
You'll see how I approach life as I walk into the store, and we'll see if somebody blows me off and how I handle it.
That's bullshit. You're sitting there and you want to sit on the little lily white pedestal and say shit is not happening in the world, and that's bullshit.
I hear you. No, I know it's out there, but I'm trying to enlighten you on the fact that you have to approach life in a certain way and not expect.
When I tell you about my life, you say it's a bad day when I tell you that someone doesn't acknowledge my existence, or if I speak, they don't speak. Everybody have a shitty day on that particular day that nobody wants to speak, or I don't get good service, or it takes them too long to deal with me because I'm black. I've been black for damn 41 years almost. I know when I'm being bullshitted because I'm black or when somebody having a bad day. And that's the thing that you won't grasp or you won't understand because you want to debate every goddamn thing that we sit up in here and say. And we're just trying to help you get the experience, but you won't get it.
We'll see what happens. I'm all eyes and all ears.
Things happen when you play.
See that? Did you see that?
What happened?
She looked and ran over.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. Well, she looked and ran over. Just a little thing. You know.
Yeah.
But you know why they do it. Once you start knowing, you know.
She had, but you know.
I know she was gonna run over. She
had to, because they were taking the whole sidewalk. I was like right here with you.
Yeah.
And they had to give it up.
I know she had to move over, but I mean, it's the way she did it, so she wouldn't have to look at me.
I experience that all the time, Brian. That's not a super unique thing. And I looked at her and she looked right at me. You notice that? Did she look at you too?
No.
Okay.
I was looking.
So we had like 3 seconds of eye contact.
I truly believe that if you walk into an establishment and carry yourself in a distinguished way and greet people with respect and courtesy, they will respond in kind.
That'd be nice for me.
Guess what? That's exactly what happened.
Good. How are you? All right. I like the suit you've got on.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice.
Bruno thinks that salespeople are coming over to help him, but they're really coming over to size him out.
So he kind of came up to us and acknowledged us.
Racism is out there in the.
You know what I think? I think from your reaction today, you're looking for it.
I'm not looking for it. You know it's snubbing.
I get snubbed now too. But you and I, this evening, saw the same things. I saw one thing, you saw another. When a family is covering the entire sidewalk and they move over so that we can get by, you see that as them getting out of the way because you're black. You're looking for something that I think isn't there.
You're thinking that everything is okay, and it's not. I would like for Bruno to just understand that it is a little bit more difficult
being black in an all-white society than being white in an all-white society.
If you come into a place and you've got this resentment and this expectation of prejudice, it's going to find you. If you go in with an open heart and love and you know, you can laugh. But my life is, I get joy because I put joy out. I don't get, you know, suspicion because I'm not looking for it. I'm not coming at it with a chip on my shoulder. And that's what...
I like the fact that they put Brian and Bruno together. They both are a lot more alike than they want to admit. And in my opinion, they're coming at this experiment with the same mindset, just on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Brian wants to prove that racism exists, it's here, it's in your face, and most white people don't like black people. And Bruno wants to prove the opposite. He wants to prove that racism is really not a thing anymore. That if you act like a thug, you're gonna get treated like a thug. But if you're kind, courteous, and polite, no matter your skin tone, your race, that will be returned in kind. Now, I can see both points of view. I have been followed in stores, had a lot of racist run-ins with different people and police, so I can 100% understand where Brian's coming from. And I'm very, very light, so if I catch a little bit of that, I can only imagine what my darker-skinned brothers and sisters have to go through. But I also believe that sometimes we look for shit that's not there, that we're so used to thinking and living a certain way, and we already have this idea of white people in our minds that the slightest thing is deemed racist. And I also understand Bruno's point of view. No matter what type of makeup you put on Bruno, no matter how you paint his skin color or how good the blackface is he's wearing, he still has the lived experience of a white man and the mindset of a white man. So from his life experience, being calm, courteous, and polite is the way to go. He feels if you put good out, good will come back, and he's not wrong on that front. But he's lived a different life, and he just can't see what Brian sees. What were your guys' thoughts on that interaction? I thought it was very interesting how they showed their different perspectives from seeing the same thing.
It's called the vowel chart, and it's a very handy tool for this kind of work because it's actually a map of where your tongue moves in your mouth to make the various vowel sounds that we use.
Today we're going to meet with a dialect coach who's going to coach us on how to speak with more of a black dialect. And the Sparks are going to meet with a dialect coach to learn how to speak with more of a white dialect. I'll have to... I. Type. My. Tried. Like.
There is black talk or white talk. I mean, there is a difference.
Ga. Cha.
In a black household, the minute we need to do something of importance or go on an interview, the first thing that we do is say, let me put on my white voice. And that's because we live in a white society.
Don't. No.
Everybody.
So good. Everybody.
Oh,
yeah, right. So you take out the V.
Everybody. It's sometimes saying everybody.
Yes,
everybody.
You are, yeah. Everybody.
White people, we tend to cut our words short. You know, white people, they say the whole word.
Life.
Good.
Pine.
Then.
Put the N on it.
Then.
That's perfect. I say
Renee and I were working with a dialect coach. I was learning to talk black, and Renee was learning to talk white. We were switching places.
Well, hello, dear. How are you doing today? An edge is not an easy thing to polish.
It was just like a friendly conversation. Just she was talking black and I was talking white.
Yo, bitch.
What? Out of the blue, in our conversation, she goes, "Hey, you bitch." I heard that word and it was like, whoa, where'd that come from? She kind of laughed it off, but I wasn't laughing.
I really had thought that was an affectionate name between blacks. Yo, bitch. I don't know where I got that. I've got a certain naivety, frankly, going on. I haven't hung out with black women.
Now, this one I'm kind of on the fence about. I can see her point of view in this. She hears black women say this to each other all the time. And I'm with her on that. I hear the same thing. My wife's a black woman. Her and her sisters call each other that shit all the time. And my wife and her sisters are all boozy as shit. But when they get around each other, that's what they call each other. That's how they act. They're all nurses and nurse practitioners. They all make it into the six figures, drive fancy cars, do their thing. So I can see her point of view. She felt that was an affectionate term black women use for each other. And this being a show where she's supposed to pretend she's black, she got a little too excited and a little too comfortable and just blurted it out there. And she wasn't calling her one, at least not from what I saw. The word was on the paper and she added yo onto it. I don't know why she did that. Added yo onto it and thought it was okay. I do think she's overreacting a little bit. And I feel she needs to be a little bit more patient, knowing that this is a TV show and that the white family have no fucking idea about how to be black, how to interact with black people, what to say and what not to say. And this is the whole premise of the show. So I do feel a little bit of leeway should be given. I'm not saying that she can't be offended. Of course she can. I'm just saying don't take it as an intentional slight. As I said earlier, I think Bruno is just dying to be able to say the N-word. And she is dying just to be able to interact with black women as a black woman. At least how she perceives black women.
Carmen called me a bitch. I took it as though she deliberately called me that. Because, come on, she's not that stupid that she didn't know that she wasn't to call me that.
I think in the excitement of the moment, I wanted to be more playful than the situation allowed for, or I assumed a familiarity that hasn't been established, and I was insensitive. I used a word that's inappropriate. So I just felt really sad. In my excitement, I won't stay as conscious as I need to be.
And see, when you get excited like that, to me, that doesn't call for you to say outlandish words like calling me a bitch. That's not something that everybody just says right out in the open like that. So I felt like those were words that you really just wanted to say. That's not a word that you use with me. Because if you want to go there with me, I can't go there. But I'm not one to be with. I'm serious.
I'm explaining to you where I was coming from.
Okay.
It's different than your perception. I'm trying to clear that up.
But I don't understand how that could be different. That's just something you don't say to another person that you don't even know anything about.
That is not how I meant it. And I won't do that again.
Things that white people do that we consider racist is just real subtle, and we are aware of the things that is happening to us.
You don't have to believe me. You guys don't know me yet. He does.
No. I understand. I mean, she can say Renee's not the type. She's not gonna hold the grudge. She's gonna.
Okay, I'm afraid
Renee has something on her chest. Renee's gonna get it out.
I certainly get not to call Renee a bitch, but
I really think Renee can be really obnoxious.
I would want to share our cultures with each other. I would want them to be interested in how I perceive life and not judge it.
So, is she okay? What's the matter now?
I can cry.
I think you guys are still trying to read something into it that wasn't there. I was in there trying to be black.
But that's not being black.
I didn't know that. I don't.
I didn't know it was on paper. I didn't know it was on
In the
paper.
context of what was happening and using vernacular,
That's it.
You know,
I didn't know not to say that.
No,
So it came out like, yo, bitch.
Yeah.
And then you didn't respond. I go, did I say something wrong? But you're continuing to hold on to it.
No.
Just talked
Wait.
about it. That's not
Wait. Yeah, so I'm all cool with it. I mean, I'm not gonna say exhale, everybody.
Yeah, I can breathe.
All right.
Yes, I accept her apology, but that was so rude. I feel like I was white, she probably wouldn't have done that. I just know what type of person I'm dealing with, and I just moved on.
Yeah, Renee's acting a bit obnoxious here. And of course, if you were white, she wouldn't have done that. Of course not. Because there wouldn't be a show then. She wouldn't be trying to act black then. And that's how she felt or perceived that black women talk to each other. She apologized, so let it go. As I said earlier, I don't really blame her for that one. They're getting excited and they're really trying to get into this. Maybe a little bit too much. And that's making Renee and Brian a bit uncomfortable. But I want to point out one thing. She said she wants to show them their culture. And this applies for all of them. We are all Americans here. We may be different skin tones, Our ancestors may hail from different parts of the world, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans. And our culture is American culture. We experience different things within the culture and live differently within the culture. But our culture is all American.
Hey, white man.
Hey, I was just gonna ask if Bruno make it on site yet.
I think Brian likes me. I think Brian thinks I'm naive and unwilling to look at the fact that there is racism and that it's tougher to be a black person in this society.
Because we're gonna go sip a little wine tonight.
Yeah. I want to show Brian that even when black people aren't around, or when white people don't think black people are around, white people don't harbor all this racism. In fact, that it truly isn't there. Brian and I are going to go to this bar as two white guys, a primarily white bar, to discuss race.
You live here, Pasadena?
Yes, I do. Oh, okay. How about you guys? Not here. I'm in town from Georgia, visiting.
Santa Monica.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the racial situation like here in Pasadena?
I'm sorry.
Racial? Blacks,
Mixed. It's pretty mixed. All just one big mix. That's what I thought.
Interracial marriages?
Yes.
Nobody cares?
Nobody cares.
How do you feel about dating interracially?
I don't have a problem with it.
Have you?
I have, yes.
Cool. Would you consider marrying a black woman?
Sure. If I'm the right one, I wouldn't have a problem. You know, I just find it a little strange that Bruno just come out with his little guns blazing. You know, the first question he asks before he even says hello and really properly introduced is, you know, what's the racial makeup of this area out here? I think I'm gonna lose the bet on this one. Have you ever dated a black guy?
Did I what?
Ever dated a black guy?
Yes.
I lost.
Okay, I got a question I haven't asked yet. Would you be less apt to consider a long-term baby in the future relationship with a black guy due to the fact that they are notorious for not sticking around and taking care of their families? Did that cross your mind?
No.
Really?
No, I did date one guy that was African American, and he's great. He's awesome.
Yes.
We're still really good friends, and even if we did have a serious relationship, I don't think he would. He would leave. I mean,
From some of the questions that Bruno was asking, just really lets me know that that's his view of the black race. There's a lot of infidelity in the race, so when he found it strange that the white girl said, yeah, they would still date a black guy.
Is the myth true? Are black men more endowed than white men?
You know what? I wouldn't even ask that one.
I actually agree with Brian on this one. Bruno came off as extremely weird, asking a bunch of weird, stereotypical questions. That's very off-putting coming from a Caucasian male. I understand that Bruno's eager to prove a point, and I somewhat agree with him that when black people are not around, white people are not having clan meetings. White people have their life they live, and they can give a fuck about what's going on with black people. Just like when white people are not around, black people ain't worried about what white people are doing. In my predominantly black household, we don't give two fucks about what white people are doing. We're too busy living our lives and raising our kids the best that we know how. And I honestly feel that's something that both Brian and Bruno need to really take into consideration. If you care that much about what the other race of people is thinking or doing in their own homes or when you're not around, then maybe you're the problem. And that goes for both Brian and Bruno. The questions that Bruno was asking that young white woman, to me, was disgusting. And she looked uncomfortable as fuck. And everyone can see the cameras there, so they know something's up. They know this is gonna be on TV, or at least broadcasted somewhere. So the idea that they're gonna give their true thoughts and true feelings on anything should be thrown out the window right there. It would be different if they had hidden cameras on. But for once, Brian had it right on this one, and Bruno was out of line. I'm gonna end this episode here. I hope to see you back here in a couple of days, where we will continue watching this together, and I will react to both families and their struggle trying to identify with each other. Because at the end of the day, we are all human beings. We all breathe the same air, bleed the same blood. And it's crazy that simple things like skin tone, hair texture, features, and dialect can pit us against each other. Till then, I love y'all. Stay safe, stay positive, and hate-free. Peace.
It's angry